The worst boyfriend I ever had, the Opel Mokka.
I've had this rental car while I've been in Germany. And let me tell you what, this car, though it looks nice, is more of a nag than a naggy boyfriend.
He was constantly criticizing me, beeping at me, and lighting up on me. But first, I want to start with the constant scary lights.
Since the moment I picked it up, we have these two wrenches. There's that wrench, and then there's this wrench. I don't know if he's going to beat me up with this wrench and have the car break down, or whether it's just for show. I think that probably the car hasn't had its up-to-date oil change, and that's all it means. So I haven't really been worried. But still, you can't just assume that a man threatening you with a wrench is necessarily peaceful.
Also, it's a manual. I did choose to rent a manual since I thought it would be fun. I learned to drive on a manual, but I haven't driven a manual in probably 20 years. But it also has this auto-off function to save gas for when you stop at a light. So I never know if I stalled the car by accident or whether it stopped because it wanted to. So basically, the car has a temper tantrum and I never know if it's my fault or not, just like a man. Here's the trunk. I couldn't figure out how to open it at the airport, and it was late and I just wanted to go home. So I had to stuff my luggage in the middle seat. My brother couldn't figure it out either. It took my 16-year-old nephew to figure it out the next day. The GPS was another problem. Unless you had an exact address, you couldn't just put in a city. Then it tells you you're going to be making a turn in 300 meters. And I admit this is partly my fault because I think in feet. So I get ready to make a turn way early, and sometimes I accidentally did. The distances are hard to get used to. So just like a man, even when he's telling you something correct, you still aren't speaking the same language. Now to the beeps. This car is constantly beeping at me, like complaining and whining and nagging at me for every little thing, constantly on my case about who knows what now, with all its constant different beeps for this and that and the other thing. Talk about walking on eggshells. The seatbelt, the speed. Would you just shut up for 1 second and let me think? I didn't even have a minute to put on the seatbelt, and it whines and complains and nags at me. Not like the American cars who do it for a minute and then stop and do it again later. No, it's continuous. Maybe there's a reason I don't want to put the seatbelt on. Maybe it's private property and I'm going really slow. The point is, I want to choose, and if I'm reckless enough to want to drive without a seatbelt on, the last thing I need is this ringing ear torture on top of that. And talk about tattletaling. You go 1 kilometer above the speed limit and it starts beeping. It's hard enough driving a strange car in a strange country with driving rules you barely understand and the narrowest roads possible with people speeding past you at about a zillion kilometers an hour. But now what is it beeping about? Is it about to explode? So beeping if I go above the speed limit, but if I go under the speed limit, everybody tailgates me with their headlights looking like the Angry Birds. So that's my choice between Angry Boyfriend and Angry Birds. Here was another thing. So I go under a traffic overpass and the GPS screen immediately gets dark. I guess because it's dark for a moment, it thinks it's dark outside and needs to be less bright. But I'm out of this bridge underpass in a second and the screen stays dark so I can barely read it for another 5 minutes until it suddenly gets bright again all on its own. Another thing is that the headlights are automatic, so you can turn them on, but you can't turn them off, just like a man. The windshield wiper is automatic, so you can turn it on or off, but if it's on, it's automatic and does not respond quickly to the amount of rain. So once the rain lightens up, it continues to windshield wipe at a fast rate for quite a while before it decides to slow down. So just like a boyfriend, he thinks he's smarter than me, but he's not. He's a car, a smart car or whatever he thinks he is, but he's not smarter than me. I don't want anybody thinking for me and deciding when I, as a driver, can turn the lights on and off or for the windshield wipers on and off or speed them up or slow them down. I have a brain and I don't need anyone thinking for me. It's something that men seem to want to do in a lot of relationships, just like this car, which is why I am single and I am breaking up with this car at the airport. Now, don't get on my case for being sexist, because I know that if I was a man, I would have these exact complaints about a woman.